Thanks for inviting us in on this Wednesday night. We want to begin at 5 with this investigation that we've been following for years. The abuse hundreds of young gymnasts have suffered by the former team doctor for Indianapolis-based USA Gymnastics. New tonight at 5, lawmakers are now calling on the Department of Justice to prosecute the former FBI agents who worked here in Indy. They've been accused of covering up what happened for their own personal gain. Our Dustin Grove has been watching these Olympic gymnasts testify before Congress today, and boy, they didn't hold back, did they?
They sure didn't, Scott. This is the first time, really, we've heard them speak so in depth about the Indianapolis connection to this case. Now, previously during Nassar's trial, we heard dozens of these brave survivors come forward sharing these stories. Well, today, lawmakers and these 4 young women pointed the finger right back to the FBI office in Indianapolis where this all started.
After telling my entire story of abuse to the FBI in the summer of 2015, not only did the FBI not report my abuse, but when they eventually documented my report 17 months later, they made entirely false claims about what I said. After reading the Office of Inspector General's OIG report, I was shocked and deeply disappointed at this narrative they chose to fabricate. They chose to lie about what I said and protect a serial child molester rather than protect not only me, but countless others. My story is one in which Special Agent in Charge Jay Abbott and his subordinates did not want you to hear. And it's time that I tell you.
That's Michaela Maroney. She was a member of the Fierce Five back in the 2012 Summer Games. She went on to share a graphic account of the abuse she suffered by Larry Nassar. Simone Biles also placed the blame on him too, and she shared how it's still hurting her right now. Take a listen.
The scars of this horrific abuse continue to live with all of us. As the lone competitor in the recent Tokyo Games who is a survivor of this horror, I can assure you that the impacts of this man's abuse are not ever over or forgotten. The announcement in the spring of 2020 that the Tokyo Games were to be postponed for a year meant that I would be going to the gym, to training, to therapy, living daily among the reminders of this story for another 365 days. As I have stated in the past, one thing that helped me push each and every day was the goal of not allowing this crisis to be ignored. I worked incredibly hard to make sure that my presence could maintain a connection between the failures and the competition at Tokyo 2020. That has proven to be exceptionally difficult burden for me to carry.
Olympian Aly Raisman echoed those sentiments shared by Simone when it was her turn to testify.
Over the past few years, it has become painfully clear how a survivor's healing is affected by the handling of their abuse. And it disgusts me that we are still fighting for the most basic answers and accountability over 6 years later.
And these survivors brought up many of the questions we've had since the Inspector General report came out. It found Jay Abbott, the field office special agent in charge at the time, made false statements, violated FBI policy, and exercised extremely poor judgment under federal ethics rules. Abbott retired several years ago, but we learned today that the FBI fired the agent who worked under him just last week. And Scott, that's the agent who took Maroney's testimony.
So we heard from the FBI director today, but did we hear anything from the local office today?
We reached out to them. They referred us to the national FBI office, which sent us back to their original statement back in July. Also referred us to the director's statements today. The director in that committee today said the errors made in this case should never have happened. He said, "I'm sorry, I'm especially sorry that there were people at the FBI who had their own chance to stop this monster in 2015 and failed." We also reached out to USA Gymnastics, who said they had no comment, and also referred us to Director Wray's comments today.
It's a big story, and we've got a lot more on our digital platforms. Thank you, Dustin, so much. Well, Time Magazine is now putting Simone Biles on its cover as one of its most influential people of the year. Tennis superstar Serena Williams wrote the excerpt about her, saying Simone is a shining example of what success looks like when you let go of what the world thinks and gather your strength from yourself, from your soul.